Hello. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl SimplyKay back with another video. I am super excited to be with you guys today. This video is all for my nursing students. Y'all sent me questions, I have the answers for you. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any more questions that I may not have answered, or message me on Instagram. And yeah, stay tuned for the video. Hello. So I think I'm gonna bring you guys with me today. I really want to record a video, but I don't know what to record. Hello guys, that's my jam! Seeing how this background looks, it is giving you everything. Hello. Alright, so I have the questions on my phone, so do not be acting some type of way because you see me looking down and up and down and up. The questions are on my phone. Alright, so the first question is asking for clinical do's and don'ts. Off the top of my head, some clinical do's would be to try to get as much learning and get as much experiences as you can. So definitely, if your clinical instructor or the nurse that you're paired with asks you if you want to do something, go right into it and do it. Obviously ask for assistance, and if you don't feel comfortable, maybe watch the first time, but always try to like dive into a learning opportunity, because during clinical, that's the time that you get to do stuff and have someone over you and watching you, and it's okay to mess up, it's okay to make mistakes because you're learning. So definitely invest in trying to seek out opportunities and not always just waiting also for your clinical instructor or your nurse to be like, do you want to do something? If you see something that's cool, you hear another nurse who says that they're about to do something you've never seen before, ask if you can watch, ask if you can help out, you know, just be more active. I know it might be nerve-wracking the first couple of times, especially if you're just starting clinical, but it's going to help you in the long run. And even if you're just watching, you don't have to do everything, but even if you're watching them doing it, just seeing it and getting that exposure will be good. Take it seriously. I've definitely had clinicals where there be students who are like, I don't get paid for this, I don't know why I'm here, like just negative about it, but you're here to learn because you're gonna need all this stuff when you're actually a nurse. So take it seriously and try to be positive. Yes, some days are gonna be like, oh, long, you're tired of waking up early, but that's essentially kind of what you signed up for. So be positive, don't be negative. No, you're not paid for clinical, but the things that you learn and see, that should be enough satisfaction, you know? Like, you're gonna see stuff that you may not ever see again, or you may see again, and then you'll know how to do it eventually later down the road. You'll know how to do it. So just be grateful for the learning opportunity, and yeah, be positive. It's nothing more annoying than someone at clinical who's just negative. Like, this is like an amazing opportunity that some people don't get, or some people don't get enough time to go to clinical, or they don't get the exposure because their state doesn't have like these hospitals. I don't know. Just be grateful and seek out opportunities and ways to learn new things. Just do that. As far as don'ts, like I said, don't be negative. Don't go into clinical thinking that you need to know everything and you need to be the person who like is, oh yes, I know this, I can do this, oh I saw this before, or like just take everything in. Don't always try to be, I don't even know this, that's not the kind of nurse I want to be, because you never know, you might go into nursing school with one field you want to go into and end up in another one. So just be open-minded, don't have such a closed mind. Don't be lazy, don't like try to hide, don't try to get out of stuff, because I've seen people at clinical like go to the bathroom or like act sick. Like, just don't. It's for your good. Yes, you have to wake up early, or you might have to stay late. Like, okay, but you're learning. Like, once you get into that mindset, like, this is for my benefit, then maybe you'll have a better outlook on clinical. So, what is clinical like? Clinical is basically like, I would say like a shadow experience. Like, you usually get paired with a nurse. You have a clinical instructor that usually pairs you with the nurse based off of like what their nurse manager, like they might have certain people that are able to be the nurses that are like precepting you, because some nurses may not want a student, and you will encounter that. And the best thing to do is just to try not to take it personally, try not to let it affect you, because it sucks having someone who be like, I don't want a student, I don't want to teach you anything, I don't want to it definitely sucks. So that's something you could talk to your clinical instructor about. That's something I would do. But clinical is a good experience. So usually they're like 7 to 8 hours. Some school programs might do 12 hours. And you basically just follow your nurse. You watch how they do things. Most of the nurses will let you do things. When you reach a certain level or year, you will be able to give meds with your nurse. And this is like really the time where you can get little tiny experiences down, like maybe putting in a Foley or taking a Foley out, or really working on how to do manual blood pressure, getting like the clinical picture, seeing how doctors are when they're rounding with the patient, seeing what the nurses do, seeing how they communicate with the patient. Just you get to see the whole flow of everything that you're going to be getting into. So clinical is very, very rewarding because you learn so much, you see so much, and it's really nice to just be able to observe sometimes and not always do. Like, I feel like you need to be able to see what you're gonna do, and then you get the experiences to actually practice it, and then eventually in the future you'll be doing it. So clinical is just like, you're kind of a nurse, but you don't do anything alone as a nurse. You always are with a nurse. So you kind of just shadow them, and they let you do stuff depending on what you're allowed to do in your program. Clinical professors, what are they like? So I can't really answer, you know. I don't know every clinical instructor in the world or clinical professor. I've had good and bad. I've had instructors that are like all up on you, like, oh, you need to do this, oh, why aren't you doing this, oh, why? Like, you know, like, I'm trying to learn here. Can you just thank you, but no. And then I've had clinical instructors who would not be anywhere, like we couldn't find them. They were nowhere to be found. So it's like, you kind of want a professor and instructor that's going to be in the middle of that, like not leave you and disappear, but not also be all on your back, because essentially you're with the nurse and you're learning from them. So clinical instructors kind of just like guide everything. You do like a pre-conference, a post-conference after, where you discuss like your patients and you go into detail about everything. Most of the times they're the ones who give meds with you, but there will be an occasional time where some nurses you'll give meds with. But I know when I would give meds in the beginning, it was always the clinical instructor was the one giving them with me. But as I progressed, it was different. I was just with the nurse and I did meds with the nurse. So they basically just guide you and they're there for you for support. It's just basically how you respond and how you act. Like, just never take anything personally. And if you do have you happen to get a bad clinical instructor, just try to stay positive and still seek out those opportunities to learn, and know you're not going to be in that clinical rotation forever. So we've all had bad clinical professors who haven't really helped us grow or taught us much. It's sad, but it does happen. But as long as you're trying to seek out these opportunities and ways to learn, then I think you'll be fine. So next question is how do you juggle classes and extracurriculars? So that is where time management comes into play. I used to have this calendar that started from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That would be on the top, and then it'd be boxes on the bottom, and the times from like, I think I changed it so the time started at like 7 and then ended at 9. So I would literally write in all my classes, put it in a little box, color code it, and I would fill this whole sheet up with my meetings, my RA stuff, my classes. I included study time. I included time to eat, because I feel like that's important. Sometimes we forget to eat. Sometimes we don't leave enough time to eat. Even gym time, like you need to exercise, you need to let off some stress, like or even activities that you like doing. Like, you need to put all that together so you can see it all. I felt like seeing my schedule helped me to stay to it, and I always included study time. I always included library time. I think I always had like 2 hours in the middle of the day, like between classes or after classes, where I went to the library and tried to do my homework, or I studied a little bit. And then I would have my activities. I had track practice, and then I would have meetings, and then after I would go to the library again for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, study. Then I would stop everything and I would go to my room, I would relax, watch my shows. Like, you have to incorporate self-care time, workout time, food time. It's hard. It's definitely hard, and I was super involved when I was in college, so I understand how frustrating it can be, because I don't know how on earth I managed to get everything done and to still be like successful in the end. You just have to literally make yourself a schedule and stick to it. Don't get lazy. Don't be like, oh, I'll study later. No, stick to your schedule. Like, especially if you add studying to it, stick to it like it's mandatory, like it's class. Go to the library. I tried not to study in my room because I felt like I would be watching Netflix or I'd be asleep. So I tried not to study in my room. If it was like a little review, I would sit at my desk in my room at night for like an hour and then relax. But I would try not to do like my hardcore studying and my homework and my papers in my room. Because I feel like your room should be like your safe haven where you're just like, oh, I can relax. I don't have to come here. I don't have to be stressed. I don't think about homework. I would just go to the library. But I feel like definitely it's hard to balance things. It's hard if you don't stay on top of yourself. So definitely make a schedule. If you guys want to see the schedule layout that I have, I could probably try to find it and link it down below. So if you want to use that, you can use that. But yeah, you have to figure out your time management in the beginning. You really have to, and stick to it. And then once you do it, you'll get used to it and it'll become natural, and you won't have to maybe even look at the paper. You just be like, all right, 12 o'clock is my library time. I eat before that, and then I go to class, and then I have this and that and that. But definitely keep your time organized and find time for self-care and doing things that you like so that you don't get burnt out, because nursing school is stressful and you will get burnt out after like week 2. And that's funny because the next question is self-care tips. So that's kind of like up to you. What do you think is like, what do you like doing? It could be reading, it could be watching TV, it could be eating ice cream, it could be going outside, it could be hanging out with friends. It literally could be just having a conversation on the phone with like a family member or a friend. Like anything to just like vent, get things off your chest, like take a step away from school life. Self-care is anything. I like face masks. I like watching movies. I like giving myself, I used to give myself at 9 o'clock. I would most likely, but it did work. 9 o'clock I would stop doing everything, like studying, anything. And I would give myself from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock to watch a show, read a book, or talk on the phone, visit a friend, have a friend come over. I would leave that time. So there was like every day I was ending my day like not stressed. So if you plan your time and include self-care, you'll be golden. I'm telling you, you'll be golden. But yeah, self-care can be literally anything. And there's a lot of ideas on Pinterest for self-care things. And even if like journaling, I suggest journaling while you're in nursing school, because nursing school is stressful. And some people might not have anyone to talk to or someone who they feel comfortable telling certain things to. So if you can journal it down, that's a way of getting it out and venting. You don't necessarily always have to talk to someone. So journaling, I think, is nice. And then you can always look back on it and be like, I don't even know how I was tripping that day. You know, that was crazy. Or I made it through this, so what I'm dealing with now, I can get through it. Like, you know, it's just nice to look back on and use. I think journaling is very beneficial. All right, next question is how to get an internship or like a student nurse tech position. Okay, so that is where also clinical comes into role. So depending on what your program, where you go to clinical at, clinical is a great way to build connections and network, because you never know. A lot of obviously a lot of hospitals have techs, so if they have open positions and you were good, you were doing your stuff on the floor, you introduced yourself to people, they knew who you were, they saw that you were like a good worker, you were involved, you're a team person, they'll notice that. And you might, I actually have a time where a girl was looking for a position as a tech, and the nurse manager just happened to like be talking to other nurses like we're so short on techs, it's like crazy, and she was like, I'm looking for a job. And she gave her business card and said, email me your resume. Like, you guys don't understand. Clinical is your best way to network and get your foot in the door, especially if it's somewhere you like and you can see yourself being. Getting a foot in the door as a tech may help you get a job as a nurse. So definitely clinical is a way. Another way is just looking online. I remember I found mine from looking online, just literally typing in patient care tech, nurse extern, and you would see who's usually hiring. And usually they hire like winter and closer to spring, but a lot of places are like hiring all year round. But I actually applied to mine around maybe February-ish, and I didn't hear back until like July. That's when I got my first tech position. And then the second tech position I applied during school in like May, and I heard back very recently, and then I got hired in June. So it definitely can happen fast, and it definitely can take a long time. So just if you can Google things, Google like student nurse extern and Google patient care techs at a hospital website, on a hospital website that you might be interested in working for, and just apply. Like I would definitely apply. I started working my junior year, but I think it's beneficial to work in a hospital before you start clinical, so that you don't have to be like, you don't have to go into clinical with the anxiety, like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to talk to people, I don't know how to, like, I just liked having a job before clinical, because I already felt like a level of confidence that other people did not feel. I didn't feel like, oh my god, I'm scared. But it doesn't matter when you do it, before and after. But I would definitely try after your first clinical rotation to apply, because most places actually want you to have one rotation of clinical done. But yeah, you can use clinical instructors as references, your professors as references. I think it's good to definitely try to look for an internship after your first clinical rotation. And all the websites and stuff will have their requirements, like whether or not you even need the one clinical rotation or not. Because in my case, one of them I did and one of them I didn't. When did you start studying for NCLEX? So I graduated in May. I graduated on May 17th, and I started studying, like I started doing the Kaplan review and reading some of the other books maybe a week after I graduated. I left the time in between school. I think I had maybe a week in between the last day of school and graduation. I just chilled, I relaxed, and then I got right into it. And I studied from like May 20 something to June 25th, because then I took my NCLEX on the 26th of June. So I gave myself a little bit over than a month. But like I said in my other videos, if you want to watch the NCLEX videos, I did not study every day because I could not. I literally could not. Some days it wasn't happening. But don't stress yourself out and study while you're in school. Like if you're a sophomore or junior, like don't stress yourself out. It's nice to have one of the NCLEX review books, because some of them will have like, they'll be sectioned off into like med surg, patho, psych, etc. And you can use that while you're learning everything, and have questions to go over and get practice with NCLEX style questions. But don't stress yourself out and seriously study for the NCLEX way before you need to. Like I think after you graduate is fine enough. I think you should have, even if you want to start a little bit before, like I wouldn't study any more than 2 months, but it's based on your learning style. I don't want to say what to do and what not to do, but I think it would be absolutely crazy to try to do that and be in school at the same time. So I would just buy one of the books and do practice questions based off what you're learning in class. That way you're studying and you're getting a little bit of NCLEX review at the same time and learning how NCLEX style questions work. So yeah, that is all the questions that I have. If you liked videos like this, let me know. All my nursing students, if you have any other video requests, just comment them down below and I will be happy to make them. I hope you guys learned something. I hope that I answered your questions the way that you wanted them. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. All my nurses out there, my student nurses, stay focused, stay positive, and simply be you. Don't forget to join me on my journey. SimplyKay, we out.